Welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we're going to talk about wildly popular esports for you gamers out there. And for people like me who don't know what it is, it's a great introduction. My guests are Vanessa Lasko and Monique Griffin from Bryant and Stratton College. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Now, I want to get to the gamer part, but some people don't know we have a Bryant and Stratton campus in Hampton. And so, Monique, I want you to talk a little bit about, what the campus is all about and the educational program before we get to the fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, Bryant and Stratton College is a part of 19 colleges throughout the country. We also have an online division. Currently in Virginia, we have 3 campuses, one in Richmond, one in Virginia Beach, and of course one here in Hampton, right in the Peninsula Town Center. We've been here since 1864. Last year, we just celebrated our 165th anniversary, so a lot of history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what kind of students do you typically attract? I mean, what's sort of your niche in the admissions world? Maybe not your traditional student, or?
We market to traditional students, of course, but we also have students that are between the ages of 20 to 35 years old. We have a lot of different things that we offer them. It's not a traditional school. You can start as soon as you get out, but you can also, life happens. So you can come after you've taken a few years off. You can have started school somewhere else, and then, it's time for me to get back into this. So we have a variety of different students there.
And both 2- and 4-year degrees, is that right?
We
Am
do.
I making that up?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're not making it up. We actually have diplomas. We have associate degrees. We have bachelor degrees as well. We have degrees in healthcare, business, IT, legal. We also have our nursing and early childhood education, I'm sorry.
Now, assuming that obviously you have some online programs, but if people are coming to the campus, maybe for esports, where are you located physically?
Physically in the Peninsula Town Center.
I think that, some people forget about
Yeah.
that. You think about what's on the ground level of Peninsula Town Center, but there are so many things going on there that aren't just your typical retail.
We're on East Claiborne, 401 East Claiborne, a Suite 233. We're above Buffalo Wild Wings. If you say that, everybody knows the love. Buffalo Wild Wings, right across the street from Barnes & Noble. Mm-hmm. We actually have 2 parts of our campus. One part is above Barnes & Noble. That's where they attend the classes. But if you want to meet the admissions team, you can come across the street right across from Barnes & Noble's above Buffalo Wild Wings. You can come upstairs on our 2nd floor, come into our lobby, and if you don't have an appointment, just come in and see us.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, I'm going to need the basic primer. What is esports? Because to me, sports are things you physically do outdoors, and that doesn't go with E. So what does this mean exactly?
Right. Esports stands for electronic sports, and it's in the category of mental sports, like you would consider chess. Chess is a sport, archery is a sport, so it's a mental sport. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. It's the most watched sport in the world, and it's actually the national pastime of 5 nations.
Okay, this makes no sense to me because everyone thinks the Super Bowl is the most watched sporting event in the world. So,
and to Americans, it is. There's a whole big wide world out there, and including other, specifically Asian countries as well. That's predominantly where the national pastimes are, esports. Mm-hmm. They're a little bit ahead of us, and technology, they've adapted to esports quite early, and it's allowed them to kind of dominate the industry for a long time. Most of the Asiatic countries, like China, they have billions of people, so they quite quickly could outwatch us in viewership in their sports.
So there is a international, obviously, championship that happens.
Absolutely. Wow. Actually, as an example, the Dota 2 finals was $33 million this year. So it's very easy for professional esports athletes to contend or out-earn traditional sports athletes.
So is there one sport? Is there lots of
Lots
different?
of them. Yes, esports is quite complex. If it's football, it's just football. But esports, there's multiple different titles. There's lots of different games, which if you don't play games, I'll be speaking Chinese. But, there's Overwatch, there's League of Legends, there's Dota, there's Fortnite, there's Apex, there's multiple different titles.
So they're not necessarily sports games electronically. So
Correct.
it's not like, Madden football only. It
Correct.
is all kinds of things. Okay.
Absolutely. And the defining,
now I'm getting it.
Yes. And the defining factor that makes it as sports is the majority of these games are team-based. So you have a team of 3 or 5 or 6 people that have to coordinate, communicate with each other to reach certain objectives in the game against another team. So there's a lot of strategy involved. And it's very high paced. So there's something called actions per second, actions per minute, like a StarCraft player. They're hitting thousands of actions per minute. You have to have a lot of mental agility to be able to keep up with some of them.
That's so cool. Well, now, so this is your extracurricular sport. It's also much easier. I mean, fielding a football team or a basketball team is a really expensive venture, and for smaller schools, that's real hard to do. But here, it's a good niche.
It's perfect, and also something about esports, it makes it accessible to everybody, right? To play football, you might kind of need to be physically endowed to be able to even perform well, but esports is for everybody. It's for guys, it's for girls. It doesn't matter if you're young or old. It doesn't matter if you're a nursing student who can't travel, you could play online now. So it opens it up to a lot of other people that traditionally are held out of sports, even people that have physical or mental handicaps. They're now able to get that team experience. Well,
so you brought up men and women because there is a big stereotype out there that gamers are all men. And actually there's a lot who are, and there's been a lot of talk in the video game world about letting women
inclusivity.
in.
Yes. Naturally, there's no defining difference between men and women playing esports. There's a little bit of toxicity in the industry, or men trying to push females out that are rising in esports. There's a famous Overwatch female player who was set to get picked up by a major team, and they didn't because they were concerned that it was going to look like a publicity stunt bringing her on, and she was getting a lot of hate from other male athletes.
I think there's such a backlash in the gamer world about that. I don't get it,
but Bryant and Stratton were openly trying to engage with and recruit female athletes as much as male athletes.
So you're the coach, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you, and I realize it's different generation. I mean, we're now at the point where parents are playing video games with their kids. But how did you get to esports?
Absolutely. Well, like you said, my generation grew up in video games. It was just a natural part of our life. But when we were younger, like a career in video games wasn't really a thing unless you're actually making the game. That all kind of started exploding quite quickly. It's been developing in the background for like the last 10 plus years, but it's really taken off most recently with the prize pools getting larger, some of the athletes outpacing traditional sports athletes that are making people now pay attention and take this more seriously. Just a few years ago, there's just a few colleges that had esports programs. Now there's over 180. So it's taking off quite quickly, and now is the time to jump on board with it. And Bryant and Stratton has done that, and they're full-fledged to this program.
That's awesome. And I mean, did you feel a pressure to do this, or was it like, oh, I see this niche, natural. Man, we're going to reach for it?
Yeah.
Well, if I can interject, Bryant and Stratton actually has an athletic program overall. We actually have started with the men's and women's basketball. Most recently, we just added the volleyball. We have softball. We have baseball. We have track and field, and then of course esports. So
you really have an array.
Yes, we're one of the only career colleges that has an athletic program.
And, that's a draw for a student, I think. I mean, I clearly was not an athlete, but involving in extracurricular and feeling like you're a part of something and having a release from studying all the time.
That's
I mean, those are important
it's
for
huge.
people enrolled in college.
Yeah, I mean, studies, everybody wants to go to school, everybody wants to get their degree, but what else do they have? And our sports program is large, it's growing year after year, and just to see the way that it's bringing the students together, the student body, going to the games, cheering for each other. We have a website, it's just huge.
Well, I, in preparation for this, was trying to understand this, and I did learn that this is a VHSL, or Virginia High School League, I hope I got that right, sanctioned sports. And so high schools are starting to do that. And then when you have high school kids who are used to it, they want to carry it on. I mean, is it a factor? I'm sure not the most popular factor, but is it a factor in admissions when students think about that? You're like, ooh, esports.
Most definitely. That's why when you asked earlier, and I said traditional students, the majority of traditional students, they know about esports. This is their generation. So we market to students that are right out of high school. So one of the main things that we talk to them about, not just our traditional sports that I just spoke about, are the esports. They know about games, everything that Vanessa named, you know, they know more about it than us, and they're telling us, and we're like, wow, okay, really? I mean, it's part of the generation.
So how many teams do you have right now?
So we're operating 4, but as we get more players, we're expanding. So we are currently running Fortnite, Apex, Overwatch, and League of Legends. But if we have a player that plays other games as well, we're willing to support them as well. We're a young program. We've been operational for just a little under a year, but already we've taken our team to 2 international events. So we took our team to DreamHack Atlanta. There's 35,000 people from all over the world in attendance, and our students got to play with the top esports athletes in the world. Another one of our students just got back from Tokyo, Japan, where he competed in EVO Japan, which is the world's most prominent fighting game tournament, and he played with the best FCG players in the world. So this is a really great opportunity if they're into esports to develop their esports career as well as their academic career.
So in theory, I mean, it might be like professional sports where not very many people can make the cut, but in theory, this could lead to a very rewarding career.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. It's kind of scary how much money kids could make playing these games. That makes me question my life choices. But yeah, there, like an example, there's a Fortnite kid. He was just a teenager still. He won $3 million. And you could change your life quite quickly with esports.
Well, there are also careers that require that computer, mental agility, planning ahead.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm thinking of particularly Langley Air Force Base.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have roomfuls of monitors that people have to watch 5 monitors and are looking for, you know, dangerous things, or it's amazing. And they said, oh yeah, we want gamers. We want people who already know how to do this and know what they're seeing in a flash.
Absolutely. So there's lots of careers that if you have this on your resume that you were, you know, a high caliber esports player, that automatically makes you a contender for a lot of these high tech careers, because you do have that mental agility, that rapid focus and response time that other players that maybe not were esports players might not have.
That's really cool. And I remember, you know, my kids are not great players or anything, but one of the most interesting thing about esports is that you're not necessarily, your teammates are not necessarily in the room, or the people you're playing against. And, you know, I always said that's probably a 55-year-old perv from somewhere else. But he's like, no, Mom, it's a kid from Australia, and we're, you know, getting to know. And so there's that kind of exposure beyond your computer and your game console.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's a unifier. So like you said, there's people that are connecting with people from all over the world that might never had that connection, that make that connection through esports. You know, like one of our players that left, he went to Pakistan, he went to Japan, and he has to just, you know, find his connections through the game with these people. But it's a wonderful way to get that cultural diversity.
Amazing. I'm just the wrong generation for this, but it is very cool. And I've seen a little bit of it, you know, with my own kids, but fascinating.
Robin, the good thing about it is that anyone who's interested in esports can take any of our programs. They don't, you know, they can have an interest in esports, but they can still be in all of those other programs that I named. So it's a great opportunity.
So what you're saying is that people locally interested in a college experience and education should obviously check you out for other reasons, but this is just one more thing that sets Bryant and Stratton apart.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, people come in, they're interested in esports, not realizing that, oh yeah, I wanted to have my own business, or, you know, I'm definitely interested in IT, whatever the case may be. We have those options for them, and then esports is icing on the cake.
Icing on the cake. And then even some of the majors that don't get to normally participate in sports, like a nursing degree, because there's, clinicals that are required. You can't travel, but esports now you can. Now you get that sports experience, that team experience that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
That's really cool. Well, before we close, is there anything you want to add about the esports or about the college in general?
Well, for me, for the college in general, if anyone's interested, they can visit our website at www.bryantstratton.edu. They can give us a call at the Hampton campus, 757-896-6001, or just walk in. We're always available to meet new perspectives.
Okay.
Yes, I highly encourage them to come out, check out our esports facilities in either the Hampton Town Center campus or the Virginia Beach campus. Maybe even come see our esport facility and sit down and play a game or two.
And I know that we're probably showing this in the background. I haven't seen it yet, but I know the producer went out and did some filming. But esports, what is it? What does the arena, that area look like?
Right, so it's going to be a room with computers lined back to back. Each computer has headsets, so everybody on the team could communicate to each other and hear the in-game, sounds, so they could react. There's big projectors so that other people could see.
So people can watch.
Yeah, you could watch. There's a big open window so you could look in and see how they're playing, and also coaches could, make points on what's happening in the game. But the best way to really learn about it is just come on down and check it out and see it. We're also going to have open tournaments every Friday at 6, starting next month, where you could come in and...
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
People come watch. High school people who are, just getting...
try to win some money. We're going to have tournaments in Fortnite, Smash Brothers, Overwatch, and League of Legends.
And okay, Smash Brothers is all ages kind of a game. I mean,
Absolutely.
That's not one of the ones you don't want your 13-year-old playing. So that is really cool that the younger folks can also come watch and can come be involved.
Absolutely, and there's still a lot of money to win in Smash Brothers.
Get out!
Absolutely. There's a tournament coming up not too far from now. It's a $10,000 pot prize to play Smash Brothers. And we actually have a student right now at Bryant and Stratton who's on a full ride scholarship to play Smash Brothers.
No, you're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
So all those times I told my children, get off the video games, do something productive, they knew that I was wrong.
Yes, encourage them to do their homework and play their video games.
Okay, and Bryant and Stratford offers that combination.
Yes.
Well, I think we should close on that.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope that you were farther along this curve than I was, but that you have still learned something about the esports world and the gaming opportunities and that wonderful extracurricular right here at Bryant Stratton. Thanks for watching.